Oh, John Smith, it's come. Has it come to this? It's come to the drum. We've devolved to John Smith.
Right, I'll explain the format to you guys, because it's a bit of a weird interview format.
Oh, so it's like Cards Against Humanity.
It's like that. You just say the worst thing that pops into your mind.
It's an interview against humanity. I like it.
That's what I'm on. We're rolling.
Oh, we're rolling. Okay.
Henry.
Hello, and welcome to the Serpent Temple podcast and YouTube channel. I'm here with Memoriam.
This is Karl.
Hello, I'm Karl from
Hi,
Memoriam.
I'm Spike from Memoriam.
And I'm Scott Fairfax from Memoriam.
Hello. Thanks for coming.
Nice to be here.
Nice to be here.
In Manchester.
Manchester.
A Damnation Festival, like, you know.
It's all right, isn't it?
You guys used to it not being in Leeds yet, or?
Well, yeah, we haven't played Leeds for a long time, actually.
I saw you play Leeds in a
We
different
played
band.
Leeds
Yeah.
at the last Damnation. Well, the last Damnation I think was in Leeds.
Yeah, so that's
and that was the last time we played Leeds.
Absolutely, well interjected.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, did you guys headline Brutal Assault this year? Or was
No,
it?
we haven't played Brutal Assault yet.
Oh,
You should.
Well, yeah. You
Brutal
tell them that. We should play Brutal Assault.
They should play Brutal Assault, guys. All right, cool. So
Okay.
I'll tell you how this works.
Okay.
These Psycards are based on Jungian archetypes. So it's similar to tarot, but it's not tarot. It's not like woo-woo spirits and shit. It's all based on stuff that's like symbols and stuff.
Symbols.
Symbols.
He's a drummer, he knows about symbols.
Oh, do you? What kind of symbol? Oh, yeah.
Silver symbols, yeah.
What kind of symbols
But
do you
you're
use?
talking about different symbols. Well, I use Silvian. I know you're talking about symbols with an S.
I know talking about symbols with
And
a
I'm
C.
more interested in symbols with a C.
Yes, this guy. Speaking of the sea, Dan Seagrave does your artwork.
Very good, very good.
See what he did there.
Yeah, nice, very good. Well, the actual interview, we'll pull 3 cards.
Okay.
Past, present, future.
Okay.
And I'll basically read a description of what the symbols in the card represent from this book, and you can tell me how that makes you feel.
Okay. That makes you feel. Okay. I like that. Yeah.
Do you guys want to? Who wants to be the past?
Scott.
The past.
What?
Do be the past. Past.
What do you want?
The past.
Pick a card. Any card. Pick a card. Top card. Any card.
Any card, whatever you want.
Pick a card,
There's
any
no
card.
rules, there's no rules.
Any kind.
That is the card that Scott has passed
Work.
as to represent the past,
The past.
which is work.
Work. I will read work to you because there's stuff in there. Right. hang
Listen
on.
to this.
Gotta
If you've
get
got
to
an
it.
answer.
No, not me.
I'll try and be as loud as I can, but I'm only little. All right. Work. So this is like, it's a machine with loads of interconnecting cogs
Yes.
and like bits of machinery. This card stands for our jobs, our place in the world, reflecting that aspect of the world of work, which is impersonal, deadening and inhuman, yet can affect us personally.
Well, I think that the fact that Scott has picked up the card work in relation to Memoriam's past is very symbolic.
He's kind of the workhorse of the band, isn't he?
Because he is totally the workhorse. Because Scott is the one that's responsible for writing all the music.
Yeah, thank you very much.
You know, without, if we hadn't got Scott in the band would have taken a very, very different trajectory. You know, it was down to him that we're not just a little kind of like side little project, sitting in the rehearsal room, doing punk rock songs and playing down the local pub every other Sunday. It was Scott that came along and interjected, fucked up all the plans completely with his work ethic.
With his work ethic of never stop working.
That's it. Because a lot of us, we got our lives where we're all kind of like, we'll work.
Well, Scott has his life as well.
Well, he's got a life, but his work, his life, his work. We will come home from work and we'll sit down, we'll watch telly or we'll relax. Not Scott.
Scott writes an album.
Yeah.
He's that kind of guy. And a very, finished product. You've got a very...
I've had the next album recording. Well, demo's done for about 2 years already. So.
Yeah, absolutely. It's constant flow. What he does, he comes home from work and he'll sit down and he'll write music. That's what he does.
That's
all he does.
incredible.
He is a machine. He's the cog that drives the band. Without him, we wouldn't be Memoriam. So that is a very, very, very
symbolic
Symbolic
with an S.
yeah.
What is your creative process like? Where do you start when you write? Do you start with drums? Do you start with a concept, or does it change every time? What ideas?
Really, I'm just playing around on guitar
Cool.
and I start with a tune, really. I get a bit of a tune going, and then I just make it really brutal afterwards. So they have got a bit of a story to each one, but then Karl changes that story by using different lyrics, so it gives it a different meaning to sometimes what I've started out as. But that is part of being in a band. You make changes together.
Yeah.
And that's...
Do you ever find...
That's the process that we've always used from day one. Is like he comes up with a riff, and then he kind of delivers the riff to us, and then we maybe change it around in rehearsal. Then I'll put some lyrics to it, which changes it and maybe shortens bits or extend bits to accommodate what I want to do lyric-wise. And then Spike will come along with his drum pattern and say, "Oh, maybe this will work in this section here." So yeah, it evolves organically in that manner, and it always has done.
That's why we released a CD of the demos not long ago, because they're totally different from the actual album.
Available now for Big Cartel.
Yeah.
It might have sold out tonight, actually.
Oh.
No, I don't think they would.
Hotcakes.
But the demos are totally different from the album versions. And it's a way of showing the fans the process of how we write albums, really.
Absolutely. So yeah, good card. Very, very bang on. I like it. That explains our past is very, very work driven.
Amazing.
And that's why in such a relatively short space of time we've done 5 albums.
You have you've been prolific.
Exactly, it's slowed down a little bit now, but
Yeah, but we have done other projects in between.
we've been doing other stuff as well, yeah. So yeah, we are very well driven by that band there who picked this very card. Spooky.
Spooky. Maybe the spirits are at work. Should we move to the present?
Halloween, isn't it? So
So I read that you've started demoing vocals like the last couple of albums.
absolutely, yeah. I mean that's gives us the space to work in advance, and it makes me feel a lot more confident going into the studio to record it when we go down to see Russ Russell down at Parlour Studios.
Amazing person.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, we're looking forward to working with him again. We're waiting for him to get better.
Yes.
Get better, Russ. So we're all rooting for you, mate. We love working with Russ. He's a lovely man.
We do.
Yes.
He's a lovely man. But yeah, if I have the ability or the chance to demo the vocals in advance to going to the studio, it just saves loads of time.
Yeah.
Saves loads of creative time, and then I can focus and concentrate on the pure delivery.
Yeah, you kind of get the patterns right in demos, and you sometimes change the lyrics.
The lyrics, rather than having to do that in the studio, which I've always done previously, on my last 20 or 30 years. So yeah, it's a new thing that's kind of like, almost we're still learning, still doing this, and we're still learning new techniques and new ways of doing things, which is, phenomenal. It's great.
I've noticed as well in the last album you had an extra Jazz Coleman influence on
To
your
the
voice.
End, right?
I really noticed that. Very nice.
Jazz Coleman.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I think that really helps with having him on board, which Killing Joke's up a lot of the drum patterns. He's worked with Killing Joke in the past.
Amazing.
He's played.
Yeah, I stood in with Killing Joke, but and that was great, and we're both fans of him. But going back to the lyrics, because it's a funny thing, because obviously Scott writes very complete demos. And so I take a lot from that, of course, and I hear things, that might be good. But when you put the vocals on it, demos, then that informs the drums, which is very unusual, because normally it's always like, get the drums down first.
Yeah.
But really, in a way, it's better when the drums are almost kind of where I'm the last to add the creative process, because then I'm informed by everything. I just might hear some of the Karl says, and like, right, I'm emphasising that line.
Nice.
And if you're reading a bit of Killing Joke in that, I would say it's probably partly to do with that, because unlike those older bands, we don't sit in a room and rehearse the songs. They're demoed, and the process is different. When I say Killing Joke, I know that those are guys that, certainly on all their older stuff, would have been in the room and hearing, and they would have been bouncing off each other. So when you sometimes demoing separately, that can get lost.
Yes.
But because if Karl's done some demoing, it very much informs me on what direction I might take.
I think a lot of that came from the impact of coronavirus as well, the fact that we couldn't physically meet up and rehearse on a regular basis. So I think, organically the songs come together through a bit of distance, and, we kind of like share it through Dropbox and learn it on our own at home and listen to it. And so we all bring different things to it at different times, which helps create and build what Memoriam is.
Beautiful. Do you want to see what's in the present?
Or I think you're going to be
Who's
present. Do you want to be
present?
present?
Yeah.
What's the options? Present or what?
Present or future?
Okay, present. You can do the present.
Oh, just...
The moon. Oh,
The
let me
moon.
read this one because it's kind of you can have a look at it as well. You've got a crab and a sea and the moon.
Read it loud.
I'll read it
'cause
really loud.
I played that gig and I can't hear very
It's
well.
proper loud on those
currently.
stages as well. Is it number 21?
That was the gig for you guys anyway. It sounded
Great.
great from where we were.
Absolutely. I mean,
Yeah,
we're only ever, it sounds corny, but to a certain extent, we're only ever as good as the audience, and the audience, we're absolutely
Really
totally
good.
accurate, you
Yeah,
know,
it's random, it's been busy.
It was round,
Yeah, it was great.
you know, did a nice, short but sweet set as well, you know, kind of like bang,
Well,
in and out.
By the time we'd got into it, it was over.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're just warming up.
Yeah.
I thought we were told, we could see the time was get off time.
Get off time. 45 minutes, but that's great, you know. I think it works with the type of music we play as well, you know.
Absolutely.
There's no frills really with our old school death metal set. You know, it's in and out and take no prisoners, and you know, we can see and feel the joy that was out there from the audience, so we feed off that as well. So
No compromise.
Yeah, we really enjoyed it. So what's this card all
The
about?
moon. The moon is a feminine symbol and therefore stands for the female instincts, the maternal and the unconscious self. It represents the intuitive understanding and healing process of change. However, it's also a sign of fickleness, illusion, and falsity. The crab in this represents the illusion of toughness, yet a soft inner self.
All I got from that was feminine.
All I got from that was
YouTube's gonna love
I
that.
didn't do that. I'm glad I didn't do that.
Who's the crab if you're the moon?
Yeah, what's the crab doing with the crab? What's
The crab is reaching for the moon.
Oh, it's reaching.
So it's reaching for the femininity,
stars.
like the
Okay.
tough
The
outer
crab-
shell.
the crab
Outside,
that's-
soft inside.
Transgender crab.
Potentially, who knows?
Transgender crab. There's
I
nothing wrong
mean,
with that.
there is fluidity in every one of us.
Indeed. Well, I think we have to accept and embrace that difference and that's what we're all about.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, and that how can that relate to where we're at right now, the present
rising
change?
to its power.
Well, you know, I think,
Yeah.
I think we've been through a lot of change recently with bringing this man, and it's quite odd that you picked that card.
Yeah.
You know, because you have been a catalyst of change within the band. You know, kind of like when we brought Spike on board, I think he's brought a whole, you know, no disrespect to Al, you know, he's still a good mate of mine. Yeah, he's a brilliant drummer, but Spike brings a different level of, you know, what he brings to the band is just different level of
I
Welsh.
suppose as well, Memoriam has been brought about by change, by a forced change with what
Yes.
happened, you know, with Martin.
Yeah.
I thought.
So, you know, that's
That's what we got
that
on
would
board
have been.
for. It's not just for the drumming, it's for this.
But of course, it's to do with the drummer. But no, it's not. But I mean, you know, it was
I get it,
it was
the drummer,
it was an
forced
unfortunate forced change.
Yeah.
So I would say that, and then. You know, and then of course there was the change with, you know, Andy and me joining, and the femininity thing. There's a connections. Me and Frank both played in Psycard. I had a female singer.
I love Tam.
We all love Tam.
We all love Tam.
And she, you know, and she left Memoriam.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
So.
She's great. Yeah, a big influence.
And we're not, you know,
inspiration.
we're very open to that kind of thing. You know, when we're not, you know, sometimes in rock music it can be very, you know, male dominated.
Yes, absolutely.
You know, we're not into that, especially me and Karl, because you know we're all punks and you know, sort of very, you know, what's going on with younger people now and the transgender and that's the kind of thing that. You know, we were open to 30, 40 years ago.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
good to see.
fantastic.
Dressing differently,
Good to see that has now
looking
kind of
different.
evolved. So it's
So you know, we're open with that.
So yeah, change. We're always open to change. Change is something that's constant, and we are moving forward constantly. You know, we're looking forward at this point in time. We're talking about now, aren't we? Not going into the present, but we are now in a transitional phase, really, where we are moving forward to you know, working on the next album and things like that. So the future is just around the corner as we reach the end of 2024.
So where in the cycle of the story that you're telling in your lyrics are we going to be going to the
Yeah,
next
we're on
album?
chapter 5, aren't we?
Chapter 5.
We're currently on chapter 5, and we're moving on to the final chapter
Oh.
Chapter 6, the last. Yeah, so it's kind of about telling a story in reverse.
Okay.
You know, it's like been my attempt at a George Lucas epic. It's like Star Wars, but not like Star Wars.
Are you more Star Wars or Star Trek?
Definitely Star Wars.
Oh.
Yeah. Definitely Star Wars. Maybe Star Trek from the 60s, yeah.
Okay.
But not your modern Star Trek, no. No, yeah, definitely. It's a story that's been evolved, you know, visually, conceptually, from the first album. You know, where you see like for the fallen, you see the fallen leader being carried across the battlefield, and then it works backwards from there, basically. You know, so the album bit after that was Silent Vigil, and that was basically the leader that had been lying in state, and then Requiem for Mankind. That's it, where it's being put into the ground. After that trilogy, I thought, where the bloody hell are we going to go with this? So we went to we changed record label, you know, big change in our life. Went to Reaper Entertainment, and we did To the End, which was really.
That's when I joined.
That's when you joined, yeah. And that was kind of the bits in his life where he's just before when he dies, is before he's leading his troops into that big battle where he dies, and then. The last album, Rise to Power, is a bit where he's, you know, rising to power. He's he's getting that strength. He's becoming the leader. So now it's the last album of that trilogy 6 albums in, and we are going to be basing it around, I don't know, the creation, the early stages of his life.
Beautiful.
You know, new birth, rebirth, and things like that. So yeah, let's see what happens. There's a lot of things going on in the world. That can be of, you know, social, political, cultural influence as well. So, you know, let's see what happens around the world.
Flowers and
pushchairs and Zimmer frames. Yeah. And let's see what happens in the world around us. I'm sure a lot of the things that are happening right now will impact the lyrics that I write for that album, which we hope we're going to get done soonish by this time next year. Yeah.
I was hoping you would say that.
Yeah.
Yes.
But that's going into the future, which we haven't looked at yet.
We're near the future.
We're near the future.
I do wonder, hearing you talk about...
I am the future.
If you are the future. I do wonder, hearing you talk about the story, if you've ever read, like, the Malazan series, or any, like, of the military fantasy books and things like that.
No, I haven't, but I was great. I don't know if you've... Who's the author that I big? The Baroque cycle. Have you ever heard of the Baroque cycle?
I've heard of it, but I've not read it.
I can't remember the fucking author at the moment. But yeah, that was a big inspiration of my lyric writing. That's kind of like historical.
The cycles and
So it's like, and that's a trilogy of books, you know. And
cool.
That's what kind of like inspired me to write something that was, you know, moving forward. Now I've been told that I'm not allowed to, you know, by no means. The next album is the last album in the sequence of, and it's the final one. I'm not allowed to say I'm going to do another trilogy after that.
Okay, you will do more albums.
Well, Scott's got a lot of music in him.
Let's pick one card and see what happens.
What's in the future? It's going to be the album.
What is in the future?
Well, this is big, so I've got to do it that way so you can't see.
Okay.
Well,
That looks like the Blue Oyster Cult album.
I'm going for that one.
oh.
Okay.
I didn't plant it.
Death.
Right.
It's not. The puzzle.
I lost out on 50 quid there.
The puzzle of seeing what happens after your story cycle.
Yeah.
36. Let me read. It reminds me of Labyrinth, this card.
Puzzle. It's an interesting card to pull.
This is one of the trickier cards. So you've got like doors, there's a statue holding the key, but you don't know which door it leads
So
to.
yeah, you see, I suppose it's all about kind of like which direction and choices.
Choices, agonising choices.
Agonising choices.
This is what it says in the
Don't
book.
want agonising choices. What choices?
Like choosing labels, for example, that can be an agonising choice
I
sometimes.
don't like labels.
No, not like the next album. I mean in general. I mean changing a label can be going
changing a
from
label,
something familiar to something unfamiliar.
Okay.
The text itself says that sometimes in life we're forced to make an agonising choice. There's often no clue given as to which course to take, and it reflects such a situation. But I think in the
Agonising
future...
choice. You have bought a Land Rover?
Fucking hell,
I can't imagine you in a Land Rover.
Yeah, an agonising choice. It cost me a fucking arm. It's a sponge. It's like this. It's a sponge on fucking wheels. It's a big sponge on the board. Agonising choices. Well, the future is open right now. So we are in that process where we are currently looking forward to. This year comes to an end. Next week, we played a festival in Germany.
Last show of the year, isn't it?
That was our last show of the year. So after that, it's a big open space for us. We've got a few things bubbling up next year for gig-wise, but not a lot. A few things are coming through. Things have changed a bit. We are getting a bit more selective about what we do as we get older. We found, from my perspective, that we love doing shows and doing gigs, but getting up at 2 o'clock in the morning to travel for 12 hours to get somewhere, and then play for 45 minutes.
It's become a lot harder with all the Brexit crap now,
it's really, really hard work, and we're not enjoying it so much. So what we're doing now is we are endeavouring or trying to fly out the day before.
Nice.
Because for us, it's not about it's not about
It's
getting
getting
paid.
more and more expensive.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but we've got to. The bottom line is we've got to enjoy it.
Yeah.
If you don't enjoy it, what's the point in doing it?
Yeah.
So we put our price up a little bit. So we're doing a few less shows as a result of it. But we're enjoying doing the shows that we want to do, and we're enjoying it. So that's a big change in our. Less is more in a certain respects. And. We've got to take care of ourselves, haven't we?
We do.
We are. We're precious. And then obviously we are moving forward. It's our last contract, our last album contract with Reaper Entertainment as well.
Okay.
So after that, after we've recorded and released this album, who knows what the future's going to be?
There may be an agonising choice.
Absolutely.
I've got a change element to it as well because I've never played this kind of music before. So we're joining Memoriam, but quite a lot of change for me. Not complete change because I still do what I was doing, but it was a new, new challenge, But it was a change.
Was it an agonising challenge?
It wasn't agonising. I got to admit that part wasn't. It wasn't agonising.
I've seen your stuff on stage for you.
Yeah. Well, then you're right. So sometimes it's pretty agonising. It was agonising once I made the change. But it was a good thing. It was. I've enjoyed it. It's been great to, to have the, not just to do the music, but to have a document of it, which is obviously the album.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. To listen to it and think, fucking hell, there's 2 hours of this style of music that 5 years ago I would never have thought I'd have been doing. So that's great. That's good. Positive.
But I think generally speaking, life is one big puzzle.
Yeah.
It's the way we all get through and define ourselves and our own identity through what we do. And it's the way that we work through these issues and these problems and we solve them that make us who we are. And that's an exciting and positive thing, So that puzzle is something that we are relishing to work with.
A non-musical thing that you've done to influence us is, I think it was an interview or something that you said that you still work. You work a job. You don't choose to do this full time.
Yeah.
I'm sure you could, but the fact that you did that made us realise that you don't need to. It's better to enjoy what you're doing. Yeah.
Absolutely. We work. You're a drum tutor. Yeah. You work on cars. I work in finance. And I think that keeps us grounded and helps us. We're not reliant on doing this to pay our bills.
Yeah.
So we enjoy it more for what it is, and we appreciate it more for what it is as well. It's not a grind. We don't have to sign up and do things that we don't want to do just to pay the bills. We can pick and choose what we want to do on our own terms. And that works fine for us. We're not going to jump in a tour coach and do a 40-day tour of Europe. That's beyond us at this point. Done it in the past. Don't do it again. That's just beyond me right now.
But we've got our own hobbies and stuff. Anyway, so I wouldn't want to be doing this full time every week, every weekend.
We've all got our own lives, our own responsibilities outside of it. So this is just a glorious celebration of doing what we're doing, and we do it on our own terms, and we enjoy doing it, and that's what keeps us alive and keeps us focused. And if that influences other people and it's showing other people the path, and that's the way to do it, then that's all good.
Hell yeah.
That's another puzzle opened.
There you go. A door is opened.
Oh, I heard you had a great experience at a Dong Festival.
Dong!
See,
Yes, roll out the inflatable P9.
watching 1914 live, but
Yeah, oh yeah, that was a seminal moment for me. That was, you know, I mean, I'm pretty engaged with, you know, military history and what's going on in the world around us right now. Yeah, so I'm quite tied up with what's happening in Ukraine and, you know, the imperialism of Russia invasion and to see. You know, a band from Ukraine perform and be on stage with them, and the passion. You could see the pain. You know, you could feel the pain and the horror of what they've been through, and you know what they're still going through. You know, and that was a real moment for me. It was really brought it all home to me. You know, I was kind of like, you know, I was almost in tears on the side of the stage, and that doesn't happen very often. You know, I had a few as well, but you know, it really was a moment where kind of I thought I had big respect for the guys there, and yeah, love the band, great band. When I see them do well.
Yeah, they're really good.
there's a question I've always wanted to ask, because I watched this film a few months ago, right? It was a BBC film called Threads. They released in 1984.
Okay.
Traumatised the shit out of me. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but it's about if a nuclear war ever happened in Sheffield. That it was.
Right, okay. No, I've never seen that.
Oh no, but anyway, it's just everybody.
A nuclear war that happens in Sheffield.
Yeah.
Okay. Why Sheffield?
I don't know. They just decide to focus on Sheffield for some reason. But I feel like there's a lot of people who I think were growing up in the 80s, saw this film, and it just impacted them in a way. I just wondered if there was a connection between that film and... I've never seen
that film, but I can imagine like, it'd be very similar to going from Birmingham, seeing Coventry get bombed the fuck out of in just in the Second World War, you know, so yeah.
I think the thing is, you know, that's poignant with that is everybody from, a certain age, you know, the nuclear war was always a massive threat.
Yeah.
And, you know,
we grew up with that generation.
when you know, like, especially if you were into punk, you know, everybody sang about it as well, which really sort of heightened the anxiety about it, you know?
Yeah.
So...
Discharge, a classic example.
Discharge, you know. But everybody was, you know, the Subhumans, you know, Crass, everybody was, you know, was sort of, you know, fearful. I mean, there was adverts on telly,
it was
you know.
It was a real
they were
threat,
encouraging you to make a makeshift bunker in your backyard, as if that would help.
Stop, drop and roll.
Having a film like that it's very symbolic of the time, isn't it? You know, somebody had to make it like this is what it really could be like in Sheffield.
In Sheffield.
But it could be anywhere. It could be anywhere.
It could even be in Sheffield.
Specifically in Sheffield.
Do you feel like that threat has come back? Like, do you think it's heightened?
Well, yeah, I think that, you know, we live in a... I mean, I said on stage tonight that, you know, I've written lyrics about war for the past 30 years and never really in the history of time are they more relevant than they've ever been, you know, right now at this point in time. So, yeah, it's a worry, it's a threat. You know, but what can we do? We just got to watch and see what happens and you know, try and support Ukraine and... you know, in any way we can. That's my backing of it. That's my theory.
Yeah, it's the best we can do to make art that draws attention to those things, to the horrors.
Yeah, and support that art. Yeah, absolutely.
I like that you don't glorify war. I think that's a big part of it.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's never been about that. You know, it's always been about just saying how it is, about the psychological aspects of it and the impact it has on people, normal people. So yeah, that's what we tend to do. You know.
Yeah.
So.
Right on. Thank you.
Good.
Thank you for coming.
Those cards were good. That was quite different.
Good cards. I'm glad you didn't draw death 3 times.
Absolutely. That would have been terrible, wouldn't it?
That would have been pretty bad. Yeah. All right, thanks. We've got to do like a photo for the thumbnail. Also, thanks for watching.
Good.